Hi guys and welcome to Learn Extra Live Maths Lit, and as you can see it's Indy and Haley taking you grade 11s for today's session.
Absolutely.
How are you, Haley?
Well, how
I
you
know
Indy?
we've just done a show together, but now it's grade
we got
11 and
hopefully
now
new people.
exactly, and hopefully the grade 12s have been tuning in all the time because they like to learn more and learn extra
Absolutely,
all the time.
Yeah.
So what are we going through in today's lesson?
We're going to be doing data handling. I believe like last week, Peter did some central tendencies with them, so I'm going to carry on and doing a little bit of different representations and actually looking forward to being with the grade 11s for a change.
Yeah, no, the grade 11s are cool. I love the
Absolutely.
grade 10s, 11s, and 12s. But
me too.
the grade 11s are a special bunch. Do you want to take
I
a
will, thanks.
take a spot? Okay, guys, you know the drill. Chat to me on Facebook.com/Learn Extra. That's an XTRA. We are also on Twitter @LearnExtra, so you can get chatting to us. Let us know if there's anything that you don't understand. Send us your inspirational quotes. Let us know if you're struggling with anything. We are here to help you and help each other out as well. This is a great way to make friends and have an online study group. This community is not just for us guys, it's for you too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand it over to Haley to start the lesson. Let's get learning.
Thanks, Indy. Okay, like I said, we're going to be doing data handling. We're going to be looking at some mixed exercises. And I know you did some central tendency last week, so we're going to start with that. And we're looking at question 1. Right. The table below contains prices of houses. I think I need a color. Prices of houses that were sold in 2 areas during the first 6 months of the year. The house prices have been arranged in ascending order. Always nice when they arrange them in order. But the first thing we need to do is to put them into order. So it's really nice. Right, and we're looking at 2 different areas. We've got hilltop and gardens. So each one of our houses, and we can see we've got a total of 15 houses sold in each area, and they give us our prices and of each house. Right, an estate agent gives you the following information about the house prices for gardens. The mean selling price is 424,200 Rand. So let's quickly go over what the mean means. So what have we done to calculate the mean? We took all our house prices in gardens, starting from our first one of 300. We added them all up, okay, and we then divided it by the total of 15. So it's what we talk in everyday language, we talk about an average. But in maths, we talk about a mean. So the mean selling price is 424. The median selling price is 440,000. That is the house that is right in the middle. And what do we mean by median? We've got as many houses selling for lower as we do selling for more. So our median selling price is 440 and the modal selling price is 320. That's the price that was sold the most. So modal's most, median's middle, mean is your average. So let's see what our question asks. Right. Explain which measure of central tendency, mean, median, or mode, provides the most accurate indication of the average house price in gardens. In your answer, you must also explain why the other measure of central tendencies are not appropriate. So, okay, first of all, let's decide which is the most appropriate. And the most appropriate, whenever they ask you, is in fact the median. So if they ask you this kind of question, it usually means that we've got huge outliers. So, and our outliers tend to skew our mean. So our median is great because it's got as many high, as many below. Whoops, can't write today. Below as above. Right, there are no outliers. The mean would be a problem, and let's go back to those numbers. And if we look at our numbers, right, starting at 300, then I've got 2 for 320, then I go up a little bit to 340, 360, so I'm all in the 300s, then I've got 400s, 500s, and finally my last number is 690,000, which was quite a bit bigger than the number just below that of 523. That is what we call an outlier. It is a number that is totally different from this kind of standard of what we've got. And that tends to skew the mean. It makes the mean a little bit higher than it should be. So that's the reason that that's no good, is mean we've got an outlier of, and we can even put it in, of 695,000. It was 695 Indy. And finally, what is not appropriate with the mode? Well, in actual fact, the mode was the highest number that was the same, and it was 320,000. There were only 2 houses sold for 320,000, but it is actually nearly the lowest. It's nearly the lowest as well. So always remember, if they ask you which central tendency, you need to be looking at the median. That is always your best one. Right, let's now look at Jacob. Jacob wants to sell his house in Gardens. He wants to sell it for 650,000. He places an advert online and claims that his amazing house is selling just above the average price of the area. As an interested buyer, what price should you offer? Now, if we go back to our averages, right, our averages, we've decided that our median was probably the best to look at. Well, 440,000 rand. And he wants, what did he want? 600. He said just above average. Well, clearly 650 is way more than the 440. So your median was actually 440. In fact, there was only one house that was more than 650. So as a person interested in the house, what should you offer? I would say offer closer to the 440,000, and definitely not as close as 650. Also, when buying a house, do you always offer what they're asking? I think we always ask for more than we expect.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the fact is that it's way higher than the average. It's way higher than all the averages. So you're going to probably be spending too much on the house. So rather offer closer to the median. Now let's go to the next question, which says, calculate the range of the house prices for Hilltop and Gardens and explain what the difference between the ranges for the two areas tells you about the house prices in those areas. So let's start with Hilltop. I'm going to need you to remember numbers, Indy.
Okay. I'm
Okay,
here
so
for you.
Hilltop, we're going to go, it's from 150,000, and our highest was 580. And while you're remembering, remember Gardens is 300,000 to 690. Okay, we got all those numbers. So let's get a little bit more space here. Right, remember our range was our highest minus our lowest. So we're looking at the ranges, so we're looking for our high minus our lowest. Right, our highest for Hilltop was 6.
Was 6. Oh, the highest for the garden or the hilltop?
Hilltop.
Okay, so the
First
highest
ones I gave you.
580,000.
580,000.
Yeah.
580,000.
And then
And the lowest,
was 150,000.
150,000. Okay, and I don't think we need a calculator for this, but if you do, take your calculator out. So we've got a calculator. So doing your calculator, 580,000 minus 150,000, and we get 430,000. So this is 430,000 rand. That's our one range. And for Gardens, let's do Gardens. Okay, let's change our color so we don't get confused. What was Garden? It was
The
695.
highest was 3,000.
3.
And then the lowest was 690. Unless
No, I think it was 695. Was it 690? Let's go back and check. Indy, we're
You
not
see,
doing
now
it.
this is why Peter shouts at me.
300 and 690. 690.
Oh, so 300.
300 and
So I
690.
said 3,000 and 690. I could have completely got everything wrong there, right?
Okay, so 690,000. Oops. What color were we in? 690,000. And the lowest, too many zeros, I think. And the lowest was 300,000. Am I right? 300.
Mm.
Okay, and what's our total here? Our total here is 390,000. So what does it tell us about the two? So now the question says, explain what the difference between the ranges for the two areas tells us about the house prices in those areas. Well, The lower, in actual fact, we've got very similar values. 390,000 and 430,000 is quite similar when we're dealing with such big numbers. But the lower that number would be, the lower the range would be, the closer the highest and your lowest are. The bigger the range, then the further out your big and your small numbers are. So that's basically what our range tells us. Okay, let's move on to our next question. The average age for the top 15 female swimmers from London 2012 are given below. So what do we know about the ages of our swimmers? The mean age was 24.7 years. The modal age was 18 years, and the median age was 22 years. So those are quite interesting statistics. The mean average is higher than the other two averages. Can you explain how this is possible? Right, well, our modal just means that that's the most number, the number that the most. And our median means there's as many higher as lower. So if we're looking at 22 is our median. So we've got as many swimmers higher as we do lower. We know our modal age is 18, so we've got quite a few that are in this 18, and I'm guessing that we don't have very much younger than 18. But there are probably quite a lot of swimmers older than 22. Okay, so we're looking at the number here is equal to the number there. But this number here must be much higher than those 18, and possibly, I mean, how old do you think the youngest swimmer was? Probably about 16, 17?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not going to as early, because remember, you've got to put it into context. So we're not going into just random girls. We're going into swimmers that have qualified for the Olympics in 2012. So my guess is you're not getting much younger than 18. But whenever we've got a big number, when we work out the average, the bigger numbers make our average higher as we go along. So these numbers that are bigger make it higher. And that's what you need to explain. So, and one of the ways you could do this is maybe just take your 18, and because that's just our mode, and let's now add somebody, and let's assume that they are 30 years old. Well, let's assume that there were swimmers who were 30. And if I just work out the average of those two, 18 plus 30, I'm going to get my calculator out. So if I've got 18 plus 30 divided by 2, I'll see that it brings my average up to 24. So my average for that was 24. And that is why we have a higher mean than we do a median. I hope that all makes sense.
It does. You want to know a quick fact?
Quick fact.
It has nothing to do, it kind of does. But I just Googled who's the youngest Olympic gold medalist, and the answer is the youngest individual Olympic gold medalist is Marjorie Gestring of the United States. She was 13 years old and 268 days when she won the gold medal at the 1936 Summer Olympics in Berlin, Germany.
Wow. And
There
what
you
was
go.
her sport? Do we know that?
She did. She won a gold for the 3-meter springboard diving competition.
Wow.
So swimming as well. Hey.
So I'm too
Back
old
in
to-
1936.
I'm too old and it's too late for me to start working this out.
Yeah, well, the bus
Okay.
is left for us. Oh.
But that's what you need to do. Make sense of the context of the question. So okay, so how would we explain it? Can you explain how this is possible? I would say, well, okay, I know that my lower half, my lower quartile, my lower half of my numbers does not start probably much lower than 16. My higher can go much higher than 22, and the bigger numbers actually skew the data and make it my average higher. I don't think I'm writing all that. I hope they got it. Right, question 3. Precious and Beauty are having an argument with some boys from their mathematical literacy class. The boys claim that boys are better at mathematical literacy than girls. I have this fight in my class constantly. They agree to compare the results of a test on equations. All of the numbers are given as percentages. So what we have is we have our girls' results. So let's read our results. We've got 80, 68, 75, and we can see, I'm not going to read them all out, we can see that these numbers are not in order. That's the first thing that jumps out at me. And if we count these, we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17 girls. So we've got 17 values. The boys, on the other hand, it tells us we've got our minimum, we've got our medium. Our minimum was 28, that's our lowest mark. Median was 68, and the maximum was 94. So the first question says calculate the median for the girls. Now I'm going to actually find a little bit of space. I need to find some space to calculate the median. No, let's do it here. Right, we need to put these into order. That's the first thing we're going to do. Now you can choose to place values in any way into order. I like to use a box and a stem and leaf diagram. So I look at my values and I see that my lowest value is 34. Okay, so I'm going to start with 3s. I'm going to do it on the side here. Okay, and I've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think 8 is our highest. Right, and then I go through these numbers in order, because I know you guys tend to look for the smallest and then look for the next one, and I like to go through them in a methodical order. So 80 is, I put it 8 there, we've got 68, I've got 75, 53, 64, 70, 94, okay, I do need a 9, I'm going to do it over here, 94, 68, 57, 61, and I just looked at all the numbers, 61, another 61, 34, 86, 77, 77, and 73. And now from that, I can actually put them into order. So I've got 34, my next number is 53, 57, 61 3 times. Don't forget to add all of them. 64, 68. Now I'm going to start deleting a little bit of this. 68, I need twice. 70, 73, 75, 77, twice, and I'm going to carry on at the bottom. Right, so I've got 80, 86, and 90. What was that last number? 94. Just double check 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17, that I've got the same 17 values. Okay, so now we can delete that. So any way you want to put these into order, that's fine, but as long as you get them into order. Now we're looking for the median number, so I've got 17 values. So my middle is, if I start 8 on one side and 8 on the other, my 9th value is going to be my median. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm going to underline, and I'm going to just double check from the other side. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So quite clearly, my median is my 68. Right, now it says calculate the range for the girls. My range is my highest, which is 94 minus 34, and that gives me 60. And I want the range for the boys. Now my boys, I had 94 minus, their minimum was 28, and that gives me, I'm going to just check that on the calculator, 94 minus 28, we get 66. So the range is 66 for the boys. Right. Use your answers, give full reasoning as to which of the two groups did better in their test. Do you think we've got enough time for me to do this reasoning now?
I think so. Can we work through it? Oh, we've got 1:40. I want you to have your time, and I want you to explain this properly to the learners.
Okay.
So what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to take a break. If there is anything that you are struggling with understanding at the moment, please post on the page so we can run through it during the break. Hayley will come to me, and we'll have a look at all of your questions, and we'll go through them as soon as we get back, if there are, of course. So what we'll do is we'll see you now after the break.